Over the last couple weeks, ever since I first covered Moonlight Sculptor, I've seen you guys actively expressing your excitement for the Moonlight Sculptor MMORPG. This is a video game adaptation of the popular South Korean light novel, The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, of which I know absolutely nothing about. So I went into this with a pretty open mind and absolutely no expectations whatsoever. Now, I do want to note, before we go any further, that the developers did reach out to me to sponsor an introductory look at the game, and that is what we're here to do today. To take a look at the first several hours of this brand new mobile MMO. Now, if this does look like something that you're interested in trying out, I urge you to go down, click that link in the description, the pinned comment below, to be taken directly to the game. Now, to start things off, I want to note that you can create a pretty cute looking character. I mean, seriously. Look at that face. It's the face of an angel. You're also given the option of choosing your class. You have the warrior, the mage, the archer, the paladin, and the alchemist. As soon as you're done selecting your class, you're thrown into a very anime-esque world filled with environments that you'd expect out of a game like this. The world looks and feels very aesthetically anime inspired, from the characters to the areas that you move around in to the abilities that you actively utilize. I opted to go for mage, obviously, because I mean, if you guys have been watching me for literally any length of time, you would know that I am a mage at heart. I have this burning passion that swells from deep within my core that requires I utilize all manner of elements to wreak havoc upon my enemies. And you know what? At the end of the day, I find that mages are also just really annoying to kill in PvP, especially when I play as a melee class. So that's, yeah, that might also be part of the reason as to why I enjoy playing mages. Now you guys have an insight into what was otherwise a grand mystery up until this point. Now, one of the issues that I find I come across in a lot of mobile MMOs, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, is their lack of substance. You're kind of just thrown into a world and you just autoplay your way through it. There is absolutely no narrative to really captivate you, to enthrall you in the story and in the world. And that is something that I didn't really run into in Moonlight Sculptor, as there is a surplus of story to propel you ever forward. And honestly, that is probably to be expected, given this was based off of a popular light novel. The narrative leads you all over the world, and this is the main driving factor behind the game, which is a refreshing change of pace, but isn't all that there is to do within the game. You have other PvE options, like daily dungeons, like the Twisted Abyss that unlocks at level 40, and the Chaotic Entrance. Daily dungeons have 4 different difficulties, with each difficulty being locked behind their own entry-level requirement. Each day has their own dungeon type as well, with, as an example here, Tuesday being the Lunarium dungeon and Thursday being the Essence dungeon. This removes some of the otherwise tedious repetition found within games like this and presents players with a fresh sense of things to do each and every day. Gear acquisition is about what you'd expect, as is enchanting. You use scrolls on weapons and armor, you upgrade them, you increase the statistical bonus given by the item. You can dismantle the gear you either can't use or that you just don't have any use for anymore, obtaining useful materials. Leveling provides a little bit more than is traditionally found in MMOs these days as well, with players receiving stat points that they can use to distribute into stats like strength or intelligence or agility, providing bonuses to damage or survivability and a variety of other positive benefits. This allows you to kind of play your own way, to build your own character. Although at the same time, I really don't see players really experimenting too much with it, as you're going to want to either maximize your damage or your survivability depending on your role in the party. I went the glass cannon route, as I pretty much always do in the games I play, because I am all about that plus magic damage boost. This allowed me to, so long as I kept up to date with my weapon, 1 to 2 shot the vast majority of enemies that I would encounter. Now, if PvE and combat isn't really your thing, then Moonlight Sculptor offers players the option of just sitting back and relaxing. Yeah, sometimes we just need a moment to chill, to collect our thoughts and ponder what kind of curtains would match the carpet in our home. Yeah, there is player housing within the game. You're introduced to this feature early on and given a few initial pieces of furniture with which to decorate, and can unlock plenty more as you continue to play the game. While I'm no expert, I mean, I've seen some of the homes that you guys have come up with. I feel like I didn't do terribly with what I was given to work with. You're also given a variety of other life skills such as fishing, which admittedly I have never been a fan of, either in video games or in real life. I've mentioned this countless times over the course of my channel, but my grandfather and my brother were both very ardent fishermen. They would spend all day, every day, out on their boat, and occasionally they would drag me out there with them. I would sit down on the boat with a fishing rod and just stare at the rod, at the line in the water for hours on end, bored out of my mind. And that has essentially ruined fishing for me. So you can thank them for that. Suffice it to say though, there is a lot to do. Decorating your home, fishing, crafting, a multitude of different dungeons, several raids, with raids, much like dungeons, being unlocked as you continue to level. Arenas, duels, activities to suit every type of player. Moonlight Sculptor is a mobile MMO with a very cute anime aesthetic. It utilizes a combat system that requires you to cycle through enemies manually, adding an additional layer of activity to what is otherwise the norm in the genre. The world is large and segregated, meaning that there are small loading screens disconnecting regions from one another, reducing the general stress that the servers would otherwise encounter. There is a lot to see, and there is a lot to do. If this looks like an MMO that might be of interest to you, I urge you to go down and click that link in the description and the pinned comment to be taken directly to the download of the game. You can also join the Moonlight Sculptor community on either Twitter or Discord. And considering they just had their very first major update that brought a ton of different activities for players to participate in, now is the very perfect time to jump on in and start playing.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make